Today, I'm going to tell you the story of how I learned to swim without a life jacket and why that's important to starting a business and becoming successful at a business. So, when I was learning to swim, my uncle had this creek behind his house, and we would go down to, he lived about a mile from our place, and we would go down to his place to go swimming. And so his house was at the top of the hill, so like way up here in the creek, he had to go down this massive hill, right, to get to the creek. And it was a long walk. Like, I mean, I was probably between the ages of 5 and 10, 11 when we were doing this. So to me, it felt like it was a really long walk. But like you had to go down this hill, and you were going on a cow path because he was a farmer, and so the cows made this path down to the creek, and so we would walk on this cow path. And I remember being in bare feet and like feeling the dirt underneath my feet, and I was like just so excited to get down to the creek where the dirt was nice and soft, and you weren't risking stepping in cow poop, and you weren't risking getting like thistles in your feet and all that stuff. And so finally we get down there, and I would always wear a life jacket because I didn't know how to swim. And I would always go with people so that I was safe and I wasn't gonna die. And so uh, I would take my life jacket down there, and I would usually carry it down because it sucked to wear down the hill. And then once I got down there, I'd put my life jacket on and get in the water, and everything would be awesome. We'd have a great time. Until one day, we were in a hurry because we were like, man, we gotta get down there and we gotta go swimming. We gotta get there, and it's a really hot day, and it's gonna be so much fun, and we're gonna have lots of like time to splash in the water and swim. And so we're getting ready, and we get dressed up at the house, and we just run down this hill like we're so excited. And so we're like running towards the creek, and we get there, and I realized that I had left my life jacket up at the house. And that was a detrimental moment because I looked at that big hill, and I thought to myself, I have just ran down this hill to get to the creek. I could walk back up the hill, go get my life jacket, and come back down, but we only have a limited amount of time to go swimming. And I said, well, this isn't nice. So I decided, you know what? I'm just going to jump in. I'm just going to go for it. So I did. And I walked up to the water's edge, and I was like, this can't be crazy. Like, what's the worst that could happen, right? Like, the creek's not that deep, right? Like, I mean, talking myself through all these things, like looking out there, I was like, my cousins are here. They can kind of swim, so they can save me if I start to drown. And looking at the creek, I'm like, well, if I can make it to the other side once, then I know I can do this, right? So I decided, you know what? I'm not going back for my life jacket. I'm jumping in. So I jump in, and I'm just thrashing my way across. I'm just like, and sputtering and taking in cow pee water, creek water, like all the stuff that's in the water is just like, just giving her. And I get, and finally, my hand reaches out and like hits the bottom of the creek. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, are we good here? And so I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna like stand up. So I stand up, and I look around, and I had made it the whole way across the creek. And I just kind of like stood there in awe because like never had done this before, right? I was like, I could have died. I could have drowned. This is amazing. I made it all the way across the creek. This is so cool. And I'm looking around, and like my cousins are standing there, and they're like, wow, like you didn't die. Like that's cool. And I was like, guys, I just swam without a life jacket. Wow. Right? And I was so excited. And so then I looked back, and I was like, now I gotta make it back across. but I made it across once. I can do it again. So I did it again. And from that day on, all of the fear left. So, how does this relate to business? Why? How does it relate to really any mastery of any skill? See, when we first start, we're learning, we're in the grind, we're wearing a life jacket, people are there making sure you're safe. Well, maybe people aren't there. Actually, a lot of times in these days, people aren't there making sure you're safe. But you have coaches or mentors or whatever, like that are kind of helping you through it. And it may not be that they know who you are, but they are there helping you through it. And then one day you forget your life jacket. Or maybe they're like, you know what? Just leave your life jacket. You're good. Don't take it. And you're like, but I need the life jacket. Like I need you to be beside me. And like I need you to make sure that I'm not gonna drown here. I need you to hold my hand. And they're like, nah, you're good. And so you go down and you get into whatever you're doing there, and you start thrashing around and you look like a fool, right? And you're like, I feel so stupid. And then you find some solid ground. And you're like, and you stand up and you look around and you're like, whoa, I did it. And then you look back and you're like, if I did it this way, I can go back the same way. I can do it again, right? And so then you just repeat the process. And you do it again. And you do it again. And you get better. And you do it again. And you get better. And pretty soon you look, well, maybe not like a professional, but you look really good doing the thing, right? You look really good swimming across the creek because you can actually you have the mechanics down so that you can actually swim, because it's not about uh like reading a book on swimming, or go, if you read all the books on swimming and go jump in a pool, I almost guarantee you that you won't be able to swim until you actually swim, right? So like it's not about reading all the stuff. It's not about doing. It's about like figuring out, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? And then jumping in and trying it. And maybe you suck at first, and that's okay. And it's okay to suck. I suck at like what I'm doing right now, right? Or maybe I don't. But like when you suck, then you hate that feeling, or most people hate that feeling. So they'll do one of two things. They'll either quit, or they'll press in and they'll get better. Another really quick story. I played football in high school, and I was, well, like when I first started, I didn't know anything about football. Like when I got on the line, they're like, you're going to be a lineman, or you're going to be a linebacker, sorry. And I was like, coach was like, you're going to be a linebacker? I said, wow, cool. And I thought that meant I was going to be a lineman. Like I was going to be on the line. I was going to be getting hit every single play, just pounding people. I was like, sweet, I'm good with it, whatever, right? And come to realize, like probably 2 weeks into practice, that a linebacker was not the guy that was on the line. I didn't know anything, but I did know one thing, and that was that if I could hit, I'd be all right. So we had a sled set up in the field behind the school, and so I would go out. I was living in the campground very close to the school at the time, and so I would go out to the school and I would start pushing the sled every single day after school. After practice, actually, it was like everyone would go home. I would go home, eat supper, and then I'd walk back over to the school. I'd run over there or walk over there, and I'd like start hitting the sled. And I'd push the sled all by myself, just hit it after time after time after time. Usually spend like an hour just hitting the sled. And so at first, I was like, well, it didn't really pay off. I could hit. I know how to get low. I know how to drive. I know all this stuff now. So, but I didn't recognize the payoff until my senior year. And in my senior year, because of the work that I put in off of the field, I won every single award that I could possibly win, which was about four different awards for our team awards, and I won the only league award I could win, and and I was like, okay, I guess the work that I put in paid off. So that is how uh, the learning how to swim without a life jacket translates into business principles and into football. And something I learned recently about physics from Myron Golden is he was saying that all principles are microcosms of each other. And so if you can take a principle in one area and apply it to any other area, it'll still work. So um, like the swimming, when you go and start swimming and you're like, this is this is crazy, like this is taking forever to learn. Or if you're riding a bike, like my kids are riding a bike, well, guess what, they're spending a lot of time with the training wheels on until they get used to riding the bike, and then eventually I'll take one off and then another one, and then actually I've lifted them up first, right? I've lifted them right up as high as they can go, another riding with them all the way up, still kind of wobbly side to side, right? But eventually they'll be riding the bike, probably next summer they'll be riding the bike without training wheels, because they practiced and they felt the wheels under them and they felt the bike under them, and they like have the sense of balance that they get from it, right? And it just takes time to develop skill. And so if you can work through the time it takes to develop the skill, you will be successful. So hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you are willing to push through and find the answers and develop the skills to become successful at whatever it is that you are trying to do. Bless you guys. We'll talk to you soon.